Hello and welcome to this 5th episode of Checkmate Puzzles. As always, pause the video at any time if you need to think longer. So let's dive into this. The rating level will be about between 1,000 and 2,000 rated, so it should be a good variety of checkmate puzzles here. And in this first one, we have the queen moving from e7 to e8 here. All right, what options do we have against the king? Well, let's take a look. All right, well, hopefully you found this one. If not, pause the video, and I'll try not to keep reminding you after or during every puzzle here. So it looks like rook captures on h6 here, and that's it because this bishop is pinning the pawn. So here we go. All right, that was an 1191 rated puzzle. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, king has just moved to h5. What can we do here to go after this king? All right. Okay, well, hopefully you found the answer. I believe it is queen captures here on h7, another mate in one. All right, a 1066 rated puzzle, and the king is trapped. All right, on to the next one. Okay, bishop has just moved, unleashing an attack on the queen. And the rook could just be captured, but we're going for checkmate here. So how do we do that? All right, well, I hope you found this one. And it looks like with the help of these pawns, the queen traps the king, and this pawn moves to h6 to deliver the mate. So a 1073 mate in one. On to the next one. All right, the king has just moved out of check here. And what does black have available? All right, well, first thing to do is look for checks when you're trying to solve these puzzles. If the rook moves here, we just capture. So this bishop move looks like the checkmate here. So bishop to c1, and with the help of this pawn and the rook, it delivers a mate. All right, there we go. And that was a 1831 rated puzzle. All right, on to the next one. The bishop is just captured here. All right, so how can we go about delivering a mate to the black king? All right. Well, okay, well, I hope you found this one. So it looks like it will take a few pieces to do the job. The rook will cut off any escape along the d file, and with the help of this bishop and the knight, it looks like knight delivers a check here on c7, forcing the king forward, and then the bishop will deliver the mate, and the other bishop will prevent the king from moving forward. So knight checks, king moves forward, and mate. So here we have 4 pieces assisting in this mate: the 2 bishops, the knight, and the rook. All right, a 1621 rated puzzle. On to the next one. Okay, the knight has just moved from the edge towards our king. Let's see here. How do we finish off black? Well, it looks like we have a bishop firing up through the center here and towards the king side. We have a rook cutting off an escape here once this knight moves. So looks like that will do it. With the help of the rook and the bishop, the knight can deliver a mate. We don't want to go here or the rook would just capture us. So it looks like we have to go this direction. Knight to h3 delivers the mate. A 1293 rated mate in 1. All right. Now, problem number 7. The king has just moved forward. And, what do we do here to deliver this mate? All right. Well, I hope you found this problem, and I hope you're doing well on the other problems. Remember, regular, hopefully daily, if you can manage that, daily checkmate and tactics puzzles will definitely help improve your game. So it looks like queen to a4 here delivers a check, and the king can't escape to the b file because of this knight. And there's nothing that can get in between to block. So just remember, whenever the king is in check, there are 3 options. Capture the attacker, block the attacker, or run from the attacker. And if that can't be done, then you deliver a mate here. A 1201 rated mate in 1. Okay, on to the next one. I'll try to move this along a little bit faster. Hopefully I'm not slowing this down too much for you. Feel free to leave comments. If you have opinions on how you would like these puzzles, maybe in the future I'll do random puzzles, so it's more like an actual game. And then, here there's a checkmate, but in a real game you may not know that, and there might be other tactics. So that's what I'll try and do in the future, just random tactics that are more like simulating an actual game. And please remember to like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. All right, back to this puzzle. Let's see, the pawn is just captured here. What can we do? All right, well, remember, first thing to do is look for checks, and it looks like the only way to check this king is queen to g6 here, check, and the king will have to run, and then we can deliver a mate with our knight. So a mate in 2 here. All right, so that was an 1183 rated mate in 2. Here we go to the next one. All right, well, how do we go about finishing off our opponent here? All right, well, I hope you found this one. It's all about the weak squares around this king position, because maybe he had a bishop here and fianchettoed, but the bishop is gone. The knight is cutting off this g1 square, and it looks like the queen can just deliver a mate on f3. So there we go, mate, 1270 rated mate in 1. Okay, the knight has just, moved back here, threatening to capture this knight, which cuts off these squares on e4 and g4. So we have to look for a check. If we check with this pawn, the king can escape up here. So we need to cover this square too on e2. It looks like we're going to have to drop the queen back to h5 and deliver a check. And then the only way to stop this check, white cannot capture, cannot run anywhere. He'll have to block, and then we can capture that pawn and deliver a mate. So there we go, a 1931 rated mate in 2, and I hope you found that one. All right, we're halfway through. We completed 10 of these checkmate puzzles. On to the next 10. So the pawn has moved forward. What should we do about this? It's opened up the king a little bit. Our king is cutting off the e file. This pawn is unprotected. So, oh, excuse me. I need to get myself straightened out here. White just moved, so we're after the white king. So the black king is cutting off the E file. And what can we do to deliver a mate to white here? Well, looks like with the help of the pawn and the bishop, the C file is cut off. Our king cuts off the E file, and we can deliver a mate here with rook to D8. So hopefully you found that one. 1102 rated checkmate in 1 there. On to the next one. Here we go. King has moved forward, attacking our knight. How do we finish off this king? All right. Well, hopefully you found this one. It looks like another mate in 1. So remember to look for the checks. And here, it looks like this knight can jump here to F2, deliver a check, protect this knight, which cuts off the H2 square. So there we go. A 1030 rated mate in 1. Okay, the king was in check by the queen and moved to F8. And now, how do we finish off the king? What do you think we should do here? Well, hopefully you found, by looking at the different checks, we don't want to go here or this knight could capture the queen. So we jump over here, capturing this pawn and delivering a mate because the queen is cutting off any escape. All right, 1224 rated mate in 1. On to the next one. What was that? A quick capture by the bishop. So we are looking for a way to finish off the king here. All right. Well, we have a bishop, a knight, and a queen. And it usually takes 3 pieces or more to break through and mate a king, unless the king is out in the open and not very well protected. So here, this looks like we're going to deliver a smothered mate. Queen captures on F7, forcing the king into the corner, and then the queen is sacrificed by moving to G8, checking the king, and protected by this bishop, so that will force the rook to capture our queen, but then we can deliver the mate with F7 here with the knight, knight to F7. All right, so check, check, and we set up the smothered mate, delivered by knight to F7. So there we have a smothered mate, 1673 rating. All right, on to the next one. The pawn has just moved forward, opening up a weakness here. So hopefully you found this move. Check it out. All right. This allows the queen to capture here. We don't want to go here, of course, because of the bishop. So there we have it. A mate in 1, 1090 rated. And, if you think these are too easy, these 1000 rated checkmates, or if you're a beginner, they might be a little more difficult for you. But just remember, even if you're a higher rated player, you do want to practice easier tactics and checkmate problems just to reinforce those patterns into your memory. All right, here we go. On to the next one. King was in check by our queen and ran here. The queen was not. Yeah, all right. We were. All right, get it together here. Our queen was checking the king. So how do we follow it up here? Well, this is an interesting pattern, well worth burning into your memory. If you have a king, out in the open somewhere or anywhere really on the board, where there are 8 squares around the king, 9 including the one square he's on. If you can place the queen on one of the corners, the queen kind of forms almost an arrow, I guess. The queen can cover, these. If I put the queen here, so we're going to have a queen to e4 mate. The queen will cover all the squares in front of the king here, all the squares on the side, and the diagonal down through the middle. The only 2 squares not covered by the queen are the 2 squares of the opposite color over here, and this pawn covers this one, and the king covers the pawn. So we have a mate here. So as you see, the queen covers all these squares here, and the diagonal down through the middle, delivering the mate, while the pawn and king cover these 2 squares. All right, a 1981 rated mate in 1. On to the next problem. All right, knight has just moved, attacking our queen. What do we do? All right, we notice that this bishop is pinned. All right. All right, this one looks a little trickier. Okay, how do we get at this king here? Okay. Well, all right, hopefully you found the answer to this one. It involves a sacrifice. So which piece should you sacrifice here? All right, let's take a look. Well, we want to sacrifice our rook by capturing this bishop on e7. And that will force the king to capture, and then the queen can slide over and deliver a mate here, being protected by the bishop on b3. So check and mate. A 1673 rated mate in 2, and I hope you were able to figure that one out. All right, on to the next one. Knight to g5. Okay, so the knight moves forward. It was under attack by the pawn. Okay, I hope you were able to figure this one out. It looks like a mate in 1. So how would you go about completing that mate in 1? Well, because this bishop pins the pawn here on f2, that allows the queen to capture on g3 here and not be captured by the pawn. So there we go, a 1531 rated mate in 1. And we've completed 18 problems, so 2 more. All right, the king has just captured a pawn here. And all right, well, this is a quick and easy one. I hope you can find this one. We'll use our 2 rooks because these pawns can't really do much over here, of course. So what do you think? Well, hopefully you found the capture of this a4 pawn delivering the mate. So there you have it, 1226 rated mate in 1. And now for the final puzzle in this 5th episode of Checkmate Puzzles. All right, we have g3, forking our queen and rook. So, that does not look good. We have to figure out a way to deliver a mate here. Okay. Well, we have this fork of the king and queen, but we're looking for a mate. So this final one might be a little trickier here. Okay. All right, well, do we have a sacrifice? If we go here, sacrifice our queen, the king would capture. But then once we go here, the king can just swing back over here. So maybe we try and cut off the king's escape. Well, I don't know. It looks like we pretty much have to go here first. All right, that is the answer, I think. Knight to f3 here, forcing the king to move. And then we'll have a follow-up by capturing with our queen. So knight to f3 check, king moves forward, but the knight is protected by this rook, and we deliver the mate. All right, a 1093 rated mate in 2. So that just goes to show that that was a lower rated problem, and it took me a little bit longer to find that one. So, just remember, practice and study up the easy problems as well, because you might have a little gap in your tactical abilities, and you may be able to see by doing these puzzles which ones you might need work on. All right, well, please feel free to leave comments, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and have a super chess day.